After the orgy, the people involved in the ceremony would bring their children to be sacrificed to the owl god Moloch. And during the ceremony, the children would be thrown into the fire for Moloch. And of course, this is to ensure financial wealth to the people participating in the ceremony. By the way, let me interject this now. Children are very powerful in magic. When they use the word virgin, that's a code word for children. Children have enormous power, and that comes up time and again when you're looking into white and black magic. Anyway, this cremation of care ceremony has lived up until the current time. This cremation of care ceremony still happens every year at Bohemian Grove. And who are these people who sacrifice to Moloch to ensure their financial success? Well, they're the ilk of Herbert Hoover, Dwight Eisenhower, Richard M. Nixon, George Bush, both of the Bush, the baby Bush and the adult Bush, Ronald Reagan, Henry Kissinger. You know, all the biggies are out there doing something with Moloch. I don't know whether they do the ISIS orgy beforehand, but it's certainly an all-male group. No women are allowed in Bohemian Grove. So if it's an orgy, it's definitely a
it's an all-male.
It's an all-male orgy, you know. Mm-hmm. And when questioned about it, they say that they don't throw real babies into the fire for Moloch. They use plastic babies. But that reminds me of Bill Clinton's, when they asked him if he smoked weed, he said, yeah, but I don't inhale. I mean, is the cremation of care ceremony going to work with plastic babies? I hope, but maybe not. Anyway, Alex Jones snuck in and made some filming and recording of this ceremony. You might be interested in hearing how it goes.
Which would pursue us here, has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, flames that keep thine effigy. We shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free. You shall burn me once again. Not with these flames, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire. Wow. Prince of all mortal wisdom, Owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. Great owl of Bohemia, we thank thee for thy adjuration. Begone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Begone, dull care. And all the winds be buried with thy dust. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, Midsummer sets us free.
Well, if that doesn't creep you out, I don't know what will. If that doesn't creep you out, you've been watching too many Super Bowl halftime satanic rituals or Miley Cyrus videos or what's her Kate Perry's summoning of Satan stuff. Anyway, let's move along to the book, The Coming Race. Again, the reason we're doing this is because it's probably the most influential book of the 20th century. It starts off with our character, the hero of the book, investigating a mine shaft with an engineer friend of his. To make a long story short, he falls down, both men fall down into the shaft deep in the earth. And immediately the engineer is killed. And while the hero tries to help him, a monster comes, a crocodilian, reptilian kind of monster comes and drags the body of his friend away. As he goes down further into the earth, he starts seeing things like landscape, a light that just seems to radiate from everything. And he finally runs into what seems to be a man. Now the man's taller than, he describes as being taller than a normal man, but shorter than a giant. I'm thinking like 6'6", 7 feet tall. And when he runs into this man, the most dominant feature of clothing on this man is
Wings, worn like a mantle, which I guess is a cape.
Yeah.
A mantle. Yeah, but they're wings that...
They fold in front of him. With him, he falls to his knees, and the man makes a friendly gesture. And then a child comes along with the man. And finally, the hero kind of collapses because of his ordeal and losing his friend. But the boy is able to breathe on his forehead and alleviate the pain. Again, this is a reference, a called reference to the power of children. Subsequently in the book, the child took him on a tour, showed him that the children are the people in this society who are employed.
That's right.
They work in a factory. Some of them work in a factory where they make this Vril energy. Vril is the energy that powers everything under there. It's a natural source of energy. It includes all types of energy, magnetism, chi, prana. It's kind of a magical energy. And everybody has a stick. And through this stick, they can wield this energy for good or bad. The children, mostly girl children, are stationed around the outside of the communities with these Vril sticks to protect the community. Adults above the marriageable age don't work any longer, which sounds good to me. While anyway, the man takes our hero back to his house and he falls asleep.
So after sleeping for many days in a kind of an unconscious state, when he finally awakes, he's greeted by the daughter of his host, who, and I'll read now from the book. "How do you feel?" she asked. It was some moments before I could overcome my surprise enough to falter out, "You know my language? How? Who and what are you?" My host smiled and motioned to one of his sons, who then took from a table a number of thin metallic sheets on which were traced drawings of various figures, a house, a tree, a bird, a man, etc. In these designs I recognized my own style of drawing. Under each figure was written the name of it in my language and in my writing, and in another handwriting a word strange to me beneath it. Said the host, Thus we began, and my daughter Z, who belongs to the College of Sages, has been your instructress and ours too. Z then placed before me other metallic sheets, on which, in my writing, words first and then sentences were inscribed. Under each word and each sentence, strange characters in another hand. Rallying my senses, I comprehended that thus a rude dictionary had been effected. Had it been done while I was dreaming? That is enough now, said Z in a tone of command. Repose and take food.
So during this little reading, when I was reading this, the reference to metallic sheets reminded me of the caves of Taos in southeastern Ecuador.
Yeah, these caves, there's a lot of mystery surrounding these caves, but they do exist. No one's exactly sure where, but somewhere on the eastern slopes of the Cordelia Range, there's an entrance to these caves which are enormous in scope, go on for miles and miles, filled with rooms with quite tall ceilings, coincidentally. And inside these caves were found a library full of books inscribed in some script which has been identified as Magyar, predating Sanskrit. They're inscribed on metal sheets, the books. They're oversized metal.
Right, we saw them when they were, somebody made a video of a man, a priest, a Franciscan priest in Cuenca.
Father Crespi.
Crespi, who had a collection of these things. He had befriended the Shuar Indians who guard the caves. And Indians in the Amazon can be very foreboding. But he had befriended them and helped them, so they gave him these metal sheets. And they're amazing looking. I think they were in gold even.
I think they were in gold.
So anyway, there are evidence of underground civilizations everywhere. We've even bumped into. So anyway, back to the story. His host and her daughter Z, his daughter Z, asked our hero about the world he came from. But after he told them, they subsequently told him not to talk to anybody about his past while he was in Vril. They also taught him their language while he slept, which is something I'd like to learn too. And he also learned a little bit about their history. He learned that they were once a terrestrial race that were then driven underground by a cataclysm.
So when they first went underground, their civilization was much the same as ours is above ground. They had fierce competition between the communities. They were rich and poor, and they made war to secure more territory or over a difference in ideas.
Yeah, they didn't have the Vril yet. They were working with steam power and gas.
Mm-hmm. And they still had the goal of democracy, although they consider it later one of the crude and ignorant experiments of the time.
Right, they don't think very highly of republics because, or democracies, because they're just in constant change and violence and wars, and this ended with the discovery of the Vril.
Right, because with the Vril, anyone could basically vaporize another person at any argument.
Right, a child with a Vril stick could wipe out a community.
Right, so there was no longer government by force at that point. That was a thing of the past.
And so was war.
And they split into medium-sized, moderate-sized communities, which was sufficient for all the needs of all the people that live there. And if there were too many people, by choice, people would immigrate and start new communities when the communities became too large.
Right. Basically, the government they describe as kind of a plutocracy. There are some people who are asked to be governors, asked to have different positions.